Blog Talk Radio.
When I fall asleep, the darkness and the demons steal my dreams of how things were and how they still could be in a sweeter place.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I am just thrilled to be here today. We're going to have a really exciting show with great information. But before I get into introducing both our guests today, I want to first tell you a little bit about Alzheimer Speaks because, we always have new people joining us all the time, and I just want to make sure that people know who we are and what we're about. Alzheimer Speaks was really started because of my own personal journey with my mother. My mom had dementia for 30 years. She just recently passed away, but it was life-changing for me. And I found my family and I and my mom and everyone around her just really struggling for resources and connections for everyday conversations. And so I decided to create Alzheimer Speaks. And basically what we are is we're an advocacy-based company providing multiple platforms to shift our dementia care culture around the world. I really think we each have something to offer one another, and so we're about raising voice of everyone, so those that are diagnosed, those that are family members, those that are professionals, to advocates, to movie directors, authors. We've had musicians, we've had, Harvard research has been on the show, so I mean, it's really quite varied in terms of storytelling. And we really, again, believe that by joining forces, we're going to be able to not only share knowledge, but we're going to be able to shift our ability as a society to have everyday conversations about life with dementia. And I think in doing that, we're going to be able to remove those stigmas attached to memory loss and really help those living with the disease live with purpose and promise, and to be able to enjoy life with an illness like we do for so many other diseases like heart disease and cancer and diabetes. Alzheimer's needs to get to that level and all the other dementias. And at our core, again, we believe being collaborative, working together is really the only way that we're going to win this battle. And I know that we're having an effect because we were lucky enough to be named the number one influencer online by Dr. Oz in Share Care. And that was just incredible for our work online regarding Alzheimer's disease. And that did not happen by me alone. That happened by all of you helping to share the word. And, it's just all those little clicks and likes and tweets, those small little things that don't take us much time have a huge impact because, you really don't know who in your circle needs this information next. And we don't know that because people are so uncomfortable having this conversation. So the more we can put it out there, the more it's available, the easier it's going to make for people to step into that realm and investigate and get the information that they need. So today on our show, as with every show, all of our episodes are recorded, so you can go back and listen to any archive shows that you'd like. But in addition, we love to interact with you. So if you have a question or a comment, you can call in at 714-364-4757. Again, that's 714-364-4757, and you can ask our guests a question or make a comment on what they're talking about. We would love to hear what you have to say. If you're not available by phone or not comfortable talking live on the air, you can always use your chat box as well, and I'll be reviewing and monitoring that as we move along in our session. Before I have one more thing, just some housekeeping stuff I like to do before we get started. There's a couple of events coming up that I want to mention. May 1st through the 4th is Alzheimer's Disease International's International Conference in Puerto Rico, and there's still time to sign up. You just go to Alzheimer's Disease International and check that out, though it's creeping up here pretty quick. I was hoping to be there myself this year, but I have another conference that I'll be attending. In fact, that's the one that's held May 2nd and 3rd here in Minnesota, the National Summit on Seniors and Disabilities Ministry. Also on June 5th, I just want to highlight I'm involved with the Alzheimer's Research Center here in St. Paul at Regents Hospital, which is one of the largest brain banks in the country, and we are having a benefit educational breakfast. It's a free breakfast, but it's also a fundraiser with the Health Partners Foundation. And if you're interested in coming and sitting at a table with me, I would love to have you. We just need to know for numbers. Typically, I'll end up having more than one table every year for that fundraiser, but it's really quite informative and very exciting to learn the latest things that they are working on for their trials and so forth. The other thing I like to mention is the Purple Angel Project. I'm one of the ambassadors for the Purple Angel, which is the new global symbol for dementia. If you are interested in learning how you can get involved in that, please contact me just at Lori, Lori, at alzheimerspeaks.com. Or you can just go to alzheimerspeaks.com. There's a big contact button and just click on the email, or my phone number is there as well. Alzheimer's Disease International, again, if you are looking for support anywhere in the world, Alzheimer's Disease International is the association of all the Alzheimer's associations. So feel free to reach out and find someone who's, an organization that's closest to you. Along with that, you'll get all the world reports and what's going on with the G8 summits and now the G20. And so that's a pretty fascinating site to go to. The Alzheimer's Studies.com will get you to a couple of trials if you're interested in participating in a trial for either tau, or they have a new trial for frontal temporal lobe, and they're looking for people to participate in that. You can go to alzheimersstudies.com or the Alzheimer's team on Facebook. And then another favorite organization of mine is one that works very much in the holistic mode, Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation. So if you're looking to learn more about health, exercise and what to eat and meditation and things of that sort, they're a great resource to go to. And then the Lewy Body Association, the Frontal Temporal Lobe, the National Aphasia Association for people who are having trouble with their speech. Again, there are so many different types of dementia. If you've got a specific type, make sure that you also tap into that organization. And then a couple of my favorite engagement organizations would be Music First with Choral Health. They kind of do prescriptions with music, and you know how music can change our moods. They have figured out how to help wake us up, put us to sleep, eat, get us to be in a better mood, and this can be very effective with those with dementia. Puzzle With Me has designed a puzzle that's adult appropriate. Bigger pieces, thicker pieces, easier to work with. And then Jiminy Wicket, of course, is the croquet game that I just love because it's intergenerational, and it also allows those to learn. So they do a lot in the school systems, helping educate. So just keep those in mind because they're great resources. So let me go ahead and get into the meat of the matter here today because, again, we're going to have a great show. I am so lucky to have joined with us and Jytte Lokvig, who has been on the show before with us, and she is just an absolutely joy. She has been in the industry, like myself, forever. Jytte grew up actually in Copenhagen, Denmark, and since '94, she's worked with elders with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia. She is a consultant for facilities. Dr. Lokvig specializes in staff and program development. She really is big on quality of life programs that draw on her background as an educational psychology expert. And she also is big into the arts and theater and music, and she lectures and counsels on caregiving for people with memory impairment and for those who care for them. Her latest book is The Alzheimer's Creativity Project, and it is a full-color guide. I mean, you will be surprised when you buy this book because it's quite impressive. And I think the color really helps you get the impact of the creativity of these activities that she's pulled together. She has also written some previous books, Alzheimer's A to Z, a quick reference guide, and its predecessor, Alzheimer's A to Z, Secrets to Succeed, Secrets to Successful Caregiving. And she's just kind of a wonder. I met her when I was working on the Memory Cafe, and she contacted me because she had the Alzheimer's Cafe in New Mexico, and that's kind of when our friendship began. And so without any further ado, let me go ahead and pull Jytte in here. Jytte, how are you doing today?
I am just fine. I have a bit of an allergy, so if I get a coughing fit in the middle of it, please forgive me. Okay.
Oh, you're not alone. 'Tis the season, I think.
I know. I tried to do preventive stuff this morning, so hopefully it'll work. But other than that, I'm doing just great. Thank you.
Well, wonderful. Well, like I said, I'm so excited to have you here. And when I got this book in the mail, I was so impressed with it. It's nice and big. It's easy to handle. It's well designed. The print is large. The typeset just kind of jumps out at you. But the pictures are just pretty incredible in here, and they really show the depth of what it is you're talking about. I think sometimes, if this would have been in black and white, it just wouldn't have been as impactful. Anyways, it wouldn't have been to me. The color, I know, makes it a little bit pricier, but well worth that decision, I believe. What made you decide to do this book?
Oh, actually, it's been probably been in the works in my brain for about 10 years. And the more I got involved with facilities and worked with them on, among other things, on pulling their activity programs together, the more I realized I really have to put this together and put it out there because my very strong feeling is that we must review what we're doing and rethink our so-called activity programs and change them. We do not allow
totally
people's, creativity. There's everything is handed on a platter.
Mm-hmm.
It's passive. So this book was based on many years of run. I absolutely hate the word activity, by the way. But I can't think of another one. Many years of running programs for some facilities here in Santa Fe, and the book actually shows the results of many of these, the illustrations and the works in there, except for about 3 pages. Everything else was actually created by people with pretty advanced Alzheimer's or other dementia. And some of these, in my opinion, compete with what you see in galleries.
Oh, I agree.
And they're creations, not mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Well, you look at, Dr. Daniel Potts and his dad. His stuff went on exhibit. And his dad never picked up a paintbrush until he had dementia. And it's pretty incredible stuff, and I so agree with you that we really need to change. My daughter's an activities coordinator, and she's like, God, they want everything in a group, and we need to be able to meet with them one-on-one and meet their needs and, pull out these different things. I mean, she's young and she sees it. It just can't be get them in a room and, we're so used to just checking off that task of I had an activity because it's mandated. Right. And there's so many different ways to define an activity from daily living and so forth. One of my favorite people in the world is on the show with us, listening in the background, Harry Urban, and he made one of the most, I think, brilliant comments one time when we were talking about activities and, just living life with dementia. And he said, I used to like to relax before I got dementia. And I still do.
Right. That's a good point.
But we have this mentality that we have to keep people busy if they want to be or not. And for you and me, we would fight tooth and nail if someone tried to do that to us. And then we get upset when they're upset or they get angry or don't want to participate. But we would do the same thing if we weren't engaged. And so it's just such a natural piece. And, being someone in the field, sometimes you do have to sit back and almost laugh and go, how can we be this screwed up? How can we not get this? How did we overlook this? Because it's just so important. It's just such an important piece. Now, there's, a common belief that people with Alzheimer's or other types of dementia aren't able to learn new skills. What's your thought on that? Because I know you definitely have some opinions.
Oh, yeah. Well, fortunately, I didn't know that when I first got into this, that was a common belief. I had never heard that. When I first got into this, I didn't know anything about Alzheimer's or dementia. When I found myself all of a sudden in the middle of a community, actually it was a memory care, and there I was, and I just realized. I mean, I looked at what was going on. I said, these people need something fun to do. So we just started doing fun things, like very casually. But like I said, I had no idea that people with serious dementia were not supposed to be able to learn new stuff. So I just made things available to them and gave them the time and space, which is so crucial. And they just started doing things. And then, of course, later on, I went back and studied and all that, and then I said, wait a minute, they're wrong. They're wrong. They just never gave people a chance.
Yeah.
You have to give people the environment that works for them, and you have to give them the time. And the problem, I feel, is that we are so stuck with almost like a elementary school mentality, period 1, period 2, period 3, and then we can have period 5, that's bingo. I hate bingo.
Yep.
And like you said, nobody asks people what they want to do. And they don't, critical. And they don't, they don't know how to keep track of what is really going on in their groups that they're forced to have. Who's engaged and who's not. Who really wants to be here. It's like they, activity directors are mostly forced to be cheerleaders. Frustrated cheerleaders. And it's sad because the possibilities are out there and they're wonderful.
Well, and it's limitless. It's absolutely limitless. And there's,
absolutely.
and to me it goes back to the way we were trained. We're so afraid of failure, and we really should be afraid of not trying something different.
Right.
And so we have
right.
the whole equation backwards, and that just paralyzes people because they're so worried about being judged, and that does such an injustice, because I think some of the most brilliant times I know that I had with my mom were just kind of goofy mistakes. I wouldn't have normally have gone there, and they're probably some of the best memories that I have, because it was like, well, who would have thought? It was just like,
right.
And so it just makes it, and then you feel empowered, as a care partner, and you could just see the glow, on my mom's face or somebody else's face when they're really engaged in the pride that they have, and just this feeling of love and comfort. And it's like, it doesn't get any better than that. So why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we training people, on this? It just kind of dumbfounds me, the whole process and the way we work. Now, do you see, what's your thoughts in terms of code compliance? Because I think I think part of it comes from, an organization on down, but I think there's, the big worry of getting flagged and getting tagged,
Right.
And,
well, you know what we did. Let me tell you what I did, because once I realized I had to, start complying. Since I never worked with a nursing home with these programs, it was always assisted living, and they do have more freedom. And so I was not required to take copious notes on every resident for every session that we did, which would have reminded me of being a teacher, which is, ridiculous. What I did was open up the program completely. So after lunch, we would get together, and things were available. It was like multi-centered almost. I would have all the different supplies available. So whatever they wanted to do was there. And then sometimes we actually went through lunch when there was things that got so exciting that they didn't want to stop. But otherwise, we'd stop for lunch and then we'll do something different in the afternoon. But we still had to write up schedules. So actually, I decided to make an activity out of writing up schedules. And we, as a group, we came up with these ridiculous titles for each hour of the morning, for instance. And I don't remember them now. I wish I'd kept them. To allow us to basically do whatever we wanted to. Because all the state wanted was to see that here was a schedule, a weekly schedule, and it was filled in.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody really looks at the schedules to see if there's a balance. I know they don't, or either they don't realize that there needs to be a balance.
Or what that balance even looks like, I think, is part of the problem.
Right, exactly.
Because they haven't been trained. One of my big pushes when I go out, for training is telling people they've got to document differently. They've got to start documenting the joy instead of the bruises. I mean, and those things are important. I'm not saying don't report the bruises and the cuts and the sweater that's missing and, all of those types of things.
Right.
But damn it, write down that they smiled and they had a good day. And what caused that, so that people can duplicate that. I mean, that's a small thing, and share it with families and share it with, in the files so that, the surveyors can see, because I think they get so task-oriented too. They need to be kind of emotionally trained and shifted to feel why they even have a job. And what's important. And sometimes I think we can get too objective, and we lose our effectiveness.
I agree.
In that, which is too bad. Now, most facilities and in communities, though, have some type of activities program. I mean, that's my what I see. What are typical things that you see listed as an activity? And you had mentioned, you kind of had a workaround to give a little more flexibility.
Right. Hold on. I collect activity programs, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So I can see just that. Okay. Many of them start appropriately. They'll have like an exercise in the morning, an exercise program, which is good. I still would like to change the way they do that because most of it is too serious. And when you're too serious, then people tune out. So that's beside the point. At least they're doing it. But then
don't you think too with that that whole serious piece is then there's that judgment involved, and then it's right or wrong or fitting in.
Exactly.
And when you switch it to fun, it's like no one really cares if you have the exact form. It's just about the movement and the engagement, and it gets silly, and then you add the laughter, and it's massively huge. And they want to come back.
I know. And to pick up on, I remember one time we were doing a circle. So I used to start with, I would start with a couple songs first in a circle, and then we would do the exercises for, 15 minutes or so. And this one time, one of the residents came up with this completely new, very weird version of one of our exercises, and it was so funny. And then we decided to just add it in there, and we called it John's exercise. So let's do John's now, and which empowered him.
Yep.
Empowered him, and it empowered the rest of them. It was their exercise program, so if they wanted to change it, that's what we would do. What I find is a lot of movies. Like I'm looking at one here, one program. They have movies every single day, and that's too much. That's too much. I mean, they call them different things, but they're all movies. And they have, and this is actually a better one, they have arts and crafts only once a week for, let me see for how long, for an hour. Now, what the hell can you, excuse my language, what can you create in 1 hour? When you've been away from it for a whole week and you have dementia and you forgot everything that happened in between, what on earth can you create in 1 hour? It takes anybody. I'm an artist too, and it takes anybody time to set up, to get your head together, all this kind of stuff for anybody, any artist. And then you have a person with dementia who has memory problems and some confusion about how to use the tools and what paints, all that stuff. You can't do it. It takes almost an hour just to even get started. So you really need to give people whatever time they need.
Well, and that's a good point. And if you're doing it in a group, I mean, then that slows you down even more because you're trying to get everybody on the same page, and the dynamics of the group come into play, and all of that. So I think that's an excellent point that many people don't understand. And there's so much of this. I hear anyways when I go out to communities, we have 8 activities a day, or we have, whatever it is, every 45 minutes, every hour there's an activity. And I just think, one of the goals that most of us have is to relax and, to be able to retire and not to be tied to a schedule. And now we're tying them down to a schedule. It's so horrific. It's like what we're doing to our kids now with, they got to be in 45 sports and take 2 instruments and don't forget about school. And, You know, you got chores at home and stuff, and then we wonder why our kids are
they don't have a life.
There's no downtime.
Exactly.
You know?
But what was that saying recently? I can't remember. It was one of the most prominent news programs about play being kids' work.
Yep. Yeah.
That's when they work, and it's actually the same thing here. We're working our brains when we're being creative. We're not working our brains when we're playing bingo or sitting for the umpteenth time in the same circle for whatever program that they keep repeating. You know, we don't. We need to. Creativity is brain exercise. Let's put it that way. It is.
Mhm. Yep.
And
it's
but back to the group
natural
thing. Back to the group thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I use when I start with a new group, I do start with a large group because for one thing, that's what they're used to.
Mhm.
Everybody gets together in a group, you know, but I start with a group project. So that nobody stands out. So in my book, you saw the large collages. Those things are almost 6 feet from top to bottom. Those were group projects that took 2 or 3 days, all morning long for 2 or 3 days with everybody involved. But then what happened was once they sort of got what this was all about, they wanted, some of them, not all of them, some of them wanted to keep working on group projects, and others said, I want to do my own. So they started doing their own. But then simultaneously with that, I always use fiddle boxes.
What's a fiddle box?
Always have, I'll get back to that 1 second.
Okay.
I always have at least 2 choices for anybody, because if you have everybody sitting down to do the same project, which is standard when we do activities, okay, it's Easter, so everybody draws Easter bunnies. Well, first of all, barf time. Secondly, it's hard to draw an Easter bunny. And most people are not going to find that they were successful, so they have failed. So this is to me is a very negative experience. To get away from that is to always make sure you have options for people, and that you don't have everybody tied down to do one thing.
Yep.
They have choices. Yep. Okay,
no.
Back to fiddle boxes. Do you want to hear about fiddle boxes first?
Yep.
Okay. Fiddle boxes are simply boxes, usually like shoebox size. Or they can be bags too, but I like the boxes. I like the semi-clear plastic boxes, and they just have stuff. They just have stuff in them. They have I'm looking at one right now. It has like PVC parts. It has a whistle, you know, one of those hand wrist thingies.
Yep.
And a whistle on it. It has a tiny little magnifying glass. It has some fabric swatches. It has some kind of a game thing. I think, no, this is a pencil sharpener. And some doodads, who knows from where, from what. And they're just all thrown in there together. Now, the way I use them is I use them as an activity, actually, because some people really enjoy that. For people to just look through it, take everything out, sort it out if they want to, organize it. I mean, it depends what they want.
It depends on the level that they're at, too. You know, because in the whole reminiscing piece, something might trigger something. The textures are so important, and we overlook all that stuff. You know, that how important it is to be able to touch different things. And I mean, we all like those variables, but we take them all for granted. We haven't slowed down enough to realize why we like certain things or why we even do certain things. They just become habit. And you've really looked further at that. Now, Harry made a comment in the chat box, and he says, you know, why don't they do more teaching of computers, you know, and this would be for people more in the earlier and mid stages, you know, because people are able to use them, and they're able to connect through Skype and do video chat so that they can stay connected with loved ones. Do you have some thoughts on that at all?
I would love to have them use more computers. But what I run up against, and this is even because there are games available specifically for this population using computers, and it's very hard to get facilities to buy into this. They still have this notion that with dementia and Alzheimer's, people are all of a sudden incompetent in every area, and of course they're not. And, of course, the expense, too. I mean, all the facilities I work with, even if they're private and they charge a lot of money to live there, they still claim that they're dirt poor. You know, so to get anything out of them is very difficult. And of course, I specialize more in the more advanced, by the way, just so you know. Because normally they're the ones who get left behind. But even with the more advanced group, I would love to have access to YouTube videos. That we can search together, like go on a treasure hunt on YouTube and look at puppies or whatever.
Yeah. One of the things that we did, this was actually in our memory cafe, was we Googled where people grew up. And so we had one woman from Scotland, and so we put in her old address because she still knew that. And then she talked about her neighborhood. And it was so cool, and how, her and her husband had met when he was in the service over there. And I mean, it was just so much fun. But yeah, the YouTube, there's so many different things that could be utilized. But Harry brings up a good point with being able to communicate and stay connected with people. I had that impact myself when my mom was dying. I was out of town, and she had told me ahead of time that I wouldn't be there for this. But my daughter thought of using FaceTime, and so I was gone for 3 days, but I felt fully connected. I mean, I was able to be part of the last rites and oversee hospice and help guide and direct my family. And there's so much that can be done, and it's in our fingertips because most of us have phones. But I think it could be taken to another level where, a lot of times I think some of the computer stuff that's out there, it's kind of like a self-made bingo program. Well, I'll just set them up and I'll walk away, and is that engagement or not? And so what I'd like to do is pull Harry in because he is on the line and get his thoughts for these types of programs, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, of course. Hi, Harry.
Hey, hi, Lloyd. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. What are your thoughts? Because there are these programs out there where they have music and reminiscing pieces and bingo, and sometimes I'll even walk in a nursing home or an assisted living and someone's playing a slot machine. Are those the types of programs that you want to see in terms of utilization?
Not really, Lloyd. Games are nice and everything, but if you walk into any nursing home, I don't care which one it is, it's empty. The patients have no visitors and anything, and so we create things for them to do to take up their time. Now, I'm thinking of along the lines of having computers that maybe a staff member can set up a video chat between the patient and maybe the grandkids or somebody, and the patient can just sit there and talk. Well, maybe just look at the grandkids and look at their family and things like that. I think something like that goes a long way, along with the games.
Mhm. Definitely.
I agree with you. Was it Larry or Harry?
Harry.
Harry. Hi, Harry. This is Dr. Lokvig. Jytte.
Hello.
Anyway, I agree with you. for people who are still in the earliest stages, I mostly work with a population that is much more advanced, and I would like to see computers, but I would use them a little differently. They also are. We also have to be careful not to put them under pressure to remember people, and it's hard enough to do that when they're in the flesh. So for them to actually be on a screen on a computer may be very disturbing to some of the people I work with. But other than that, for early, absolutely, I agree with you. Not only that, but there are games, like really challenging games that people can use on their own when they're in the early stage only, though.
Mm-hmm. My thoughts are I visited a care facility that has later stage patients in it, and I'm visiting somebody, but I also visit the people that sit down in the lunchroom that just sit in a chair for hours. And
I know.
Now these people, everybody assumes, well, they can't talk, maybe their eyes are closed, but you know what? I am able to strike up a conversation with them, and they communicate with me. Now, they may not communicate with words, but they communicate with me. And I think the same principle can be done via a computer. That
again with early stage, yes. I agree with you in the early stages, yes. In the later stages, no. I mean, there are many things that happen with these diseases, and one, people may not perceive something flat on the screen the same way that you and I do. And if you present somebody, like say a face on the screen of somebody that should be really familiar to them, it can be very, very stressful and very disturbing. So it's something that would have to be handled very carefully. Even using nice, large-sized photographs with people of their family members, that can be disturbing.
Well,
so
we can hang up on those.
It's something that takes skill, and it's something that takes time. And like you said, you've had numerous conversations with people, whether it was verbal or just with body language or vibes or whatever. I do too, because I have the luxury, as you do, of the time, but the staff does not. You know, and we are so understaffed. These facilities are grossly understaffed, and even the most well-meaning of the staff members just simply cannot afford that kind of time. Trust me, I work with on staff development and training, and it is so hard for them. And
don't you think a program could be set up that volunteers come in, and maybe like on a Saturday or something? It could even be college students or something like that, but have volunteers come in that
absolutely
maybe bring their laptop. That's what I'm trying to promote.
Some facilities do that. Some facilities do that. The computer is not necessarily the answer, though. I think you are the answer. Your interaction with people when you visit is far more important than anything you could do on a computer.
Absolutely, but you have to be able to reach these people. That's the problem. I mean, so many people will not go to a facility to visit their relatives for some reason or other.
I know. It is. It is horrible. It's a huge area. It is an enormous problem, and it's so multifaceted. To me, one of the reasons is the facilities are not very welcoming.
Yep.
I mean, who wants to be there? You know, I mean, we still have, even if they've improved a lot, most nursing homes still scare the pants off of people, and they'll try anything to avoid going there. And when they do go to visit, they're not comfortable. So we need to look at how we design things of these places for people. we need to design something that you and I would be happy living in 24 hours a day. And that would bring in other people to visit with us, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and part of, I think, the issue is too, you know, with communities is when they work with volunteers, there's a liability issue that they look at. There's a training issue that they look at, you know, because not everybody can just walk in and do a good job and be responsible and stuff. And so it really is very, very multifaceted.
It's kind of like we do that with hospice. Hospice volunteers, at least all the ones I'm familiar with, all the hospices, all do pre-intensive training with all their volunteers. And we need to do that with volunteers in these facilities as well. And a couple of the facilities I work with do not allow for volunteers at all because of the liability. And one of the others requires that everybody is bonded.
Yeah.
That costs money. Costs
a lot of money.
Yep, yeah. So it's not that easy, unfortunately. And, of course, a lot of that has to do with our whole attitude about people with these diseases. Unfortunately, they're still kind of throwaway people.
Yep. Well, Harry, thank you for calling in. I'm going to pull Lisa into the conversation and see what comments she has. Thank you, Harry. Lisa Hirsch has a mom with dementia. How are you doing today, Lisa?
Good, Lori. How are you?
Very good.
Hi,
good.
Lisa.
Hi.
We're on Facebook together. Hey. How are you?
Good.
Do you have a comment or question that you want to ask?
No, I actually didn't tune in at the start of the show, but I just like heard what Harry said and you said, and like people not going to nursing homes and they're vacant, and you know, I find that to be true, but I also find because my mom entered one in August, and her place is not like really a nice-looking one. I would say to you, if I had been in a nursing home, I wouldn't want to be there from what it physically looks like, but it's clean and it doesn't smell. But the other side of it, and we've thought of moving her, but the care, the nurses and the aides seem so attentive and wonderful, and they have worked in this nursing home for 15, 20 years plus, which
That's
I think
a huge statement.
That says something.
Enormous.
I mean, my brother lives in Florida, and him and his wife went around and checked places, and his wife said, you know, when I see the people working, when they went to see what was around, and they seem happy, and they've been there for a long time. So, and then on the other side of it, they do have some activities. I mean, they do have someone come in and sing once. I live in New York, and this is Florida, so it's more, and I go every few months, but what my brother and his wife tell me, and, you know, a little bit that I've witnessed, but when I go there, it's few things that I observe, and that is, I mean, there are activities for my mom, who's still mobile. She walks and talks, okay? But she has macular degeneration. She really can't, like if they're doing puzzles, I don't think she visually can see it because I don't think she can see a TV, because when I stand in front of her, she'll say, like, you know, she can't really see your face, move over. But then she can see because she's not walking into walls. And there's the singing, but, you know, it's like I don't know when this disease, how far it progresses, that even when, you know, if it's in early stages and someone needs to be in a nursing home, then they can do a lot more. I don't a lot of the people sitting there are sitting, you know, in these wheelchairs, and you know, it's like upsetting to see. I mean, like their heads are, you know, that's what activities are they going to go to? I mean, they'll put them in front of a TV or music, and you don't know what's able to bring them any kind of joy or feelings or thoughts. You know, they can't express it to us. So I think it's more like just nursing homes are upsetting to people. You know, where Harry said that they're vacant, people don't come. I don't know, Lori, what do you think?
No, I think it's really true. I think the face of nursing homes is changing, but I also think it has a long ways to go. A lot of nursing homes are now becoming transitional care, which is a totally different type of care than the traditional nursing home because it's short term, and I think they're pulling those in just to be able to make money because there's more money in transitional care than there is in regular skilled nursing long term. And so the shifts in the priorities, it's interesting to see how much things are changing out there and what's really going to have a good impact or not. Bottom line is we still need engagement. We still need people to feel like they belong. We still need society as a whole to be much more educated and, to remove their fear and get educated as to what's out there. And not only, what's out there for others, but what are you going to want? Because chances are this could be your next home too.
Absolutely.
And we're not looking at that, from a societal level. So I think those are good points that you bring up. So thanks.
Well, I call every day at 11, and sometimes I catch my mother as she's running by, and I mean running by. She's is running around this merry walk all day long in a something that I really truly don't understand and ask them. I mean, I'm glad she's mobile and going. But when she was at home, she never wanted to walk. And here she doesn't stop. One of the nurses said to me they thought maybe it was compulsive behavior. I don't know if she's agitated, but she seems happy. So, I mean, I don't, sometimes she grabs the phone for a second and then she drops me. Today, she said, you just missed your mother, but she was hungry. I just gave her a peanut butter and jelly. So for me, it's like a connection whether I speak to her or not, because my mother doesn't know if I spoke to her. And sometimes I'm sorry she got on the phone, and when she tells me I don't have a daughter. But on the other side is I think the most important thing is the care. Is really the care they get. What else matters?
That's crucial. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What else matters? Yeah.
Well, in the thing that's
let me throw in a comment. You're talking about people in wheelchairs, and they are not necessarily unable to do stuff just because they're in wheelchairs. I wasn't saying that. It needs to be proactive. You know what I'm saying? They need to find things that they can help these people do, even people who have lost their sight and or hearing. There are things that we can do.
Yeah,
I wasn't saying because they're in wheelchairs. I mean, there are people that are 20 years old in wheelchairs that are running marathons. So I wasn't saying that, but I was saying out of the disease, as it progresses, there's a point where, and if you try to talk to, I mean, I say hello to everyone I walk by, and I don't know, some people don't speak anymore, you don't know what they're seeing. I meant out of what stage they're left in the disease, not about being in a wheelchair.
Right.
Or what level they're at.
Well, thank you for calling in, Lisa.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, great. I'm going to pull in another caller here, and then I want to make sure we get back to talking about the book, too, because it's just such a wonderful, wonderful book that Dr. Jytte Lokvig has pulled together, the Alzheimer's Creativity Project. So I've got a caller that is live now from a 201 number, if you want to state your name. A 201.
Michelle DeSocio, Lori.
Hey, how you doing? Did you
how
have
are
a comment? Did you have a comment for us on this topic?
I wanted to.
Okay.
I did. As my mom is now in her 15th year of the journey, she has been in 3 nursing homes to date. The first one was good while she was in the earlier stages at her request. The second couldn't handle her for about a week. They asked us to move, and now this last one has been very good for her for the last 3-4 years. And music is magic for my mother. She's in the latter stages. She's out of the jerry chair and now in a wheelchair. And I go and I play iTunes and the whole her favorite music, and the staff is just they can't believe that she can sing the words. They just don't understand. Now, Mom gets great care there, and I brought an iPod and all her music, and they put the headphones on her, and she rips them off. They don't have the time, like the doctor said, to sit with her like I do. But Mom can sing hundreds of songs, hundreds of them, but that's the best way we can communicate. You know, the rest is, I love you, you're beautiful, couple of few statements, but that's about it. But when it comes to music, it's magic.
Yeah. Jytte?
Absolutely.
Any comments on music? I know that you...
yes, I love music. I use it all the time. Absolutely. I agree with you. I have to tell you about one of our residents who, when I met her, she was wonderfully cheerful, and she loved to sing, and she would sing all the time. Then she started losing her voice, actually, and ended up with not her voice, but she developed aphasia to the point that she really couldn't say anything except guttural sounds. Except when we played music, she would sing all the lyrics. And so I decided to sort of test her one day. We're walking down the hallway arm in arm, and I sang a question to her. Just made up the tune and sang it to her, and she turned to me and she sang the answer back.
Beautiful.
It absolutely blew me away. Don't ask me how that happened, but it did. And so, you know, music is amazing. Music exists in a different part of the brain that's not affected by these diseases. They're finding out.
Yeah, it definitely is there the longest, and it's so beautiful to tap into because it's the fun part of the brain. You know, it's the one that is creative and really is centered in joy. You know, I mean, that's the way I kind of look at it, anyways. And
it makes the visit. It just makes the visit so much more happy and pleasure instead of sadness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, every facility ought to have songbooks around with songs that everybody knows that you can use, you know, for visits or whatever. And because also when you're singing with your mom, if you have a chance to sing with the people around her, would help her enormously because it helps for her socialization.
Yeah,
and connecting to the others, you know.
They do play music once a week. You know, they have a live band come in, and there's overhead music, but there's just something about the one-on-one connection that brings it. Brings
I don't like the overhead music. I do not like music. It's because it's constant.
And sometimes Mom doesn't want it. You know, I got to it's noise to her.
I mean, would you want to live in an environment where they constantly have music? Not
even
if you're choosing.
When I know when she's done with the music, I can tell by her body language she doesn't want to do it anymore, and I say that's fine, and we move on to something else.
Right, right.
Well, and there's a big difference between having to participate or if it's just subtle background and how loud it is. I mean, you know, I went out to breakfast with two girlfriends the other day, and we just kind of roared because I said, can you turn that music down? Because it was just, it was like a fourth person sitting at the table with us. It was just, that didn't shut up, you know. And the waitress just kind of snapped at me, and I said, I looked at her, and I said, you need to know your audience. I said, look around here. Most people here are seniors. I said, and we have a more difficult time hearing. You know, background noise is not our friend. And I said, if you're going to have it on, got to be much lower. Well, I don't have any control of that. And I said, well, I believe you've got a manager. And so then they turned it down, and then somebody turned it back up, and then they finally turned it off. But it made such a difference in our conversation. I mean, it was just, but it's educating people of what really is appropriate and how, you know, how it works for us and or against us at times. So, well, thank you for calling in, Michelle, and I'm sure you'll join us the second half here of our conversation as well. Jytte, I really want to talk about your book. You have broken it down into there's so much stuff packed into this book on activities. I mean, it's amazing. It really is amazing.
Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you. And just, Lori, I have two different versions of it. I sent you the regular perfect. It's called Perfect Bound. You know, like a regular paperback book. It also comes in a spiral bound, which is only printed on one side, which allows people to take notes and keep journals on the other side of the page.
That makes a lot of sense. You know, you have a phrase in here that I absolutely love: let go and let flow. And one of the comments I was going to make about the music that I think goes really with all of these projects is, you know, we talked about helping the other person engage, but when we do that, I mean, what I learned personally with my own mom and when I'm working with other people is when I'm engaged with them in a creative project, I'm able to let go and let flow. Like, I would never sing because I have a horrible voice. I'll sing in the shower and I'll sing in the car.
You belong in our group. We believe in creative harmony.
Well, that's great.
Okay.
But I've also learned, which has kind of fascinated me, is people will come up and go, "Oh, you sang that so nicely," and I'm like, "What?" You know. But I think it's just because of the joy. You know, there's so much joy in that it just doesn't matter. It overrides my horrible voice. Right. And so there's so much to be taught on both sides. And I mean, you've got stuff from poetry and painting, and it doesn't end. Storytelling. You've got a list of celebrations, which I think this is a hoot, you know, Fruitcake Toss Day, National Whistling Day, you know, Feed the Birds Day, Wiggle Your Fingers Day. These are great, you know, because it's just, they all bring a smile to your face. And then you've got, you know, things where they've cut out pictures that are just, you know, I'm looking at some of these Native American pictures that were cut out and put together, and they're just incredible for storytelling collages. And I think every community and every family should have one of these books. I really do, because there's so much in here that is so valuable.
Thank you. You're giving me goosebumps, honey. You're giving me goosebumps.
Well, this gave me goosebumps, and it just makes me so proud. I'm getting teary-eyed. It makes me proud to know you. It really does.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And actually, you know what? Before I forget, have your daughter call me at some point.
Okay.
Okay.
She would love that. She would love that.
Great.
To have a conversation with you.
Yeah, my whole point, let me tell you how a lot of this actually came about. I did not have a budget. So it was either on my own money or I had to hustle up stuff, you know, donations from they weren't formal donations, but just I would hustle boards, for instance, mat boards from framers, the leftovers from when they cut mats. And leftover paints, you know, the art store, I went to them and I got the leftover paint from things that they couldn't sell because they had a little scratch on them or something, you know, and that kind of stuff. I just had to get out there and hustle. So I had to come up with things that didn't cost anything, basically. That collage project, the storytelling collage, that's is from an art magazine, and I found actually that art magazines, any kind of art magazine, as a source for collage material are absolutely amazing, because and I've tried with all different kinds of things, you know, everything from Time magazine through National Geographic, and then an artist friend of mine gave me a whole stack of these art magazines, and the reaction of the residents was different. And I think it's because they are dealing with different layers, not only their own creativity, but also the creativity on whatever it is that the artist is giving you through his or her work.
Mhm.
So there's like an additional something to it. So I always have much better results working with art magazines than I do with other stuff. When it comes to collages, and as far as the celebrations, that's because I'm kind of a nut, and my whole life has been let go, let flow. With my children as a teacher and all that kind of stuff as well. So the making up celebrations was just a natural. Like how can we wake up the slumbers?
Yep.
Slumbers are people who are stuck in wheelchairs, are still awake, but they're like totally zoned out. We've all seen people like that. How can we wake them up and get them involved? So we would come up with just an excuse for a party, so we made up these crazy celebrations. So even at lunch, you don't have to do anything different. You don't have to do anything different except declare this is a celebration. And then sing some songs and start talking about whatever nutty thing you came up with for your celebration.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. What are like a couple of your favorite activities that you have in your book that you can share? Because you've got
the watercolor, but even before that, as far as my groups are concerned, is that their very favorite is the tile painting, and that's whatever group I've worked with. By the way, it's just amazing. I use 4-inch tiles, or actually 4 1/4. But 4-inch tiles, the cheapest ones on the market, they're about 15 cents a piece. But I use a special paint that you can cure it in the oven, and it's actually waterproof when you finish. Regular acrylic doesn't work. And the book takes you through how to get these amazing effects, dripping alcohol into the paint, letting it flow and mix, and sometimes blend, but most of the time not, which is what makes very interesting designs. And there are no rules to it except just do it. And I try to get people to stay away from anything figurative because they get stuck in what they imagine it should look like. And because of dementia, there are no, very few of us can ever produce anything exactly the way we envision it, even when we are professional artists. It doesn't work like that. And with people who haven't made art in a very long time, that's the biggest handicap when you start. Like when I first started a painting project, people would get stuck trying to paint realistic things, like paint a flower, or paint a dog, or paint whatever, and it just did not look like the flower, the dog, or the house, or whatever. So I came up with just having them do what are realistically abstracts, but the way I put it was that we were testing out the materials. So we were only concerned about how we use foam brushes rather than regular brushes, how the brushes work and how these colors work together, 3 colors only. And that's how these things came about.
Wow.
So they were
wonderful.
freed up. They weren't stuck with having to actually produce something that looked like something. So actually, I have one picture in there with a short explanation at the bottom of it, because they've been doing this for quite a while. And again, this group, just like your friend, had never made art before. Oh, they had when they were children, when they last made art. So as adults, they've never made art. And so they had worked on this for quite a while. This one woman came over to me, and she didn't want to look me in the eye. And she said, "I'm so sorry. I know it's not supposed to look like anything, but this is strawberry ice cream." And I tell you, when you look at it, it's like pinks and oranges and yellows, and it looks like a huge mountain of globs of ice cream. It really does.
Uh-huh.
So I laughed and I said, sure enough, it is. But she got what we were trying to do.
Uh-huh.
You know, even if it, as far as she was concerned, she failed. And I said, no, I thought it was great.
Oh,
so the
cool.
best strawberry ice cream I've seen in a long time. Made me want some.
Oh, neat. I just put in the chat box here a report on an evidence review of the impact of participatory arts on older people. And I'm sure that there's some overlap there. And it's from the UK, put it out. And I'd be interested to read that because I would love to see more studies on
me too. Yeah.
This whole thing. I mean, everything is so black and white, and arts and creativity becomes so much more subjective. But life is subjective. So it's
I know.
Hello.
Yes.
What are we doing here?
Right.
This is important and very, very important stuff. That we need to really be focusing on and so forth. So let's tell people how to get a hold of you and all that you are doing. And Jytte, too, for those of you that don't know, is involved with the Alzheimer's and Memory Cafe movement. She's just been, such a huge advocate in pushing these forward and pushing them out and taking the time to speak with others on this. But I want to make sure that we give people information on how to contact you before
Absolutely. Well, there are several different ways. You get my last name is Lokvig, and I'll spell that for you, Lokvig. And my email is lokvig@yahoo.com. Also, you can go to my website. At this point, I only have one website, and everything is sort of packed into that one. You can reach it in a couple of different ways. You can spell out Alzheimer's A-to-Z, ATOZ.com, or the Alzheimer's Creativity Project.com, or Alzheimer'sCafe.com. Whichever one is easier. The Alzheimer's Creativity Project is such a long word that it's easy to make mistakes, speaking from experience. And so the Alzheimer's Cafe may actually be the easiest to remember, okay? Alzheimer'sCafe.com.
And those links are on the website and even to email you. There's a hot link on the radio page here too, along with a phone number to be able to reach you. Well, you are just always such a pleasure and a joy to have on the show. And again, we'll have to talk offline some more because there's so much going on. It's really exciting times. There's a lot of movement in shifting our dementia care culture right now.
It's like an awakening. Don't you think?
Yeah, it really is. It's very exciting. And again, for me, it still isn't going as fast as I'd like, but it's massively changed compared to even a few years ago, where we are, and to see the collaborations that are coming to be, it's pretty awesome. So I can't thank you enough for spending time with us today. And for taking the time.
Lori. It was a great pleasure. It was a great pleasure.
To put this book together, again, it's called The Alzheimer's Creativity Project and the Caregiver's Ultimate Guide to a Good Day. I love that. I mean, it's if you can't find something in this book, you got to reframe what you're doing, because there is so much in here to grab hold of and utilize. I also have it highlighted on our Memory Cafe page as under the tools and stuff too, because I just think it's such an incredible resource for people. that will just hook you up to a link to Jytte's site. So any last comments you have for us, Jytte?
Basically, let go, let flow, and let's just keep working on this.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Well, thank you.
There's so much to be done. It's exciting, and I'm looking forward to it, and there's some enormous changes in the wind. Thank God.
Yep. There really is.
Yeah.
There really is. Well, thank you for being with us, and you have a wonderful week, and keep up the great work, and I'm sure we'll have you back on the show before you know it. Okay?
All right, hon.
Okay.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Before I pull in our second guest, I just want to make some highlight comments. If you didn't hear our last show, it was called Dementia, an Absent Mind, which is actually the title of Eric Rill's book, and it really is about family dynamics and how we deal with dementia. He refers to it as a ticking time bomb. And we also had on Barbara Worthington, who's the founder and owner of Caregiver Cards, which is just another way for people to communicate when language goes. We'll have another show on Tuesday. We're here every Tuesday from 10 to noon. We also did a Dementia Chats, which was April 22nd. Again, that is recorded. And we actually had a great conversation with the Partnership in Dementia Care, PIDC, Care Alliance, and they were conducting a survey on how to improve dementia care in the future. And so they asked several questions, and there is contact information on my blog. There's a post about that, Dementia Chats. But if you want to partake in that survey, you can. And that is really specifically for those with dementia. Our next Dementia Chats will be May 13th at our regular time, and that is 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Would like to remind people about the International Collaborative Resource Directory that we have on Alzheimer's Speaks. We would love if you have a service product or tool for people who are dealing with dementia or caregiving to go ahead and input your information onto the site. It is free to be able to do. Just go to alzheimersspeaks.com. And then up at the top, there's a big gold button that says Partnering Options, Share That You Care. All you have to do is become a member, and we won't sell your name or anything. And then you can go back in and start listing resources. And, you know, it might be a book that you read. It might be a video that you saw. It might be a company or a service that you have. But there's many, many categories. And I'm really adamant that we need to grow this. We need to come together in one place to be able to share information because people just don't have time to do this search and destroy for information. On the blog, there's a post called A Quest for Answers, which our intern Michelle wrote. There's an article that was written by Dr. Dharma Khalsa, who is the president and medical director of the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation. And that's about food and your health. And that has just gotten a lot of comments. I've pushed that out not only on the blog, but LinkedIn and Twitter and so forth. So that might be something of interest to you on that. What else can I tell you? I think that's it really for announcements. Again, other than if you're looking for an Alzheimer's Association, please check out Alzheimer's Disease International. They are the association of all the Alzheimer's associations around the world. If you're interested in becoming part of the Purple Angel Project and would like to learn more, reach out to me. Again, just go to the contact button on alzheimersspeaks.com and shoot me an email. Feel free to, again, go to the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation. They really have a lot of great holistic modes. That's their forte in terms of dealing with this disease. And if you're dealing with Lewy body or frontal temporal lobe or you have aphasia, make sure you check out those associations as well. It's very important that you get the information, that you need when you need it. So let me go ahead and introduce our next guests here. They have been doing amazing work. Rick Phelps was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's in June of 2010 at the age of 57. And he lives in Ohio with his wife, Phyllis June, and his family and grandchildren are near him. Rick worked in public safety for 24 years in law enforcement and as an EMT until he was diagnosed, and that forced him to take early retirement. When Rick was given this terrible diagnosis, he again saw the need for action and compassion, and it kind of took his life in a whole new direction. And he decided to build a platform to help the millions of people dealing with dementia. And so he created Memory People, which is a support and awareness group on Facebook. And it's a closed group, so you have to ask to be invited in. But it's a marvelous place where others can ask questions and get and give help to one another. And that was born in, I think it was November of 2010. Memory People is currently over 6,000 members strong and growing daily, supporting and bringing awareness to patients, caregivers, and all of those who've been touched by dementia. So I want to go ahead and welcome Rick to the show. How are you doing today, Rick?
I'm doing good, Lori. How are you?
Well, very good, very good. Let me get your sidekick on here. I'll introduce Leanne here next. Leanne James is the Executive Director of Memory People and Alzheimer's and Dementia Support Groups and Awareness Group on Facebook, like we talked. She's Rick's personal assistant and works with him to support the members of Memory People and to bring awareness to the disease. She's also an advocate for Alzheimer's and dementia awareness. After losing her own mother to vascular dementia and her mother-in-law to Alzheimer's disease, she really experienced the impact and the heartbreak that dementia can bring to a family. And so she's out to support others on the journey. She's a mom of 4, and her husband reside in Washington State. So welcome, Leanne.
Hey, Lori.
Hi. Glad to have you on the show today. I'm very excited to have you tell our audience about what you guys are up to with this new Faces of Dementia quilt and how it came about. And Rick, can you kind of give us a little background on how this got kicked off?
Lori, I'm gonna lead that over to Leanne because we've been working on this for a long time, and I can't really recall how it got started, but I'm sure she does.
Okay,
yeah.
Sounds fair enough.
It's Lori. It's pretty neat. Late last year, Michelle DeSocio and I, we were online. She's a member and administrator at Memory People, and we found a website. We actually found an online virtual kind of a quilt where you could. Put a picture there of your loved one, somebody who had passed from dementia, that type of a thing. But we kind of, I thought it would be nice to take that a step further. And so we started forming the Faces of Dementia quilt. And what I really wanted it to be was a reflection of what we do in Memory People, because there in the group we all walk it together, patients and caregivers and advocates, those who've lost their loved ones, and healthcare workers, everybody. And we're all there together talking and sharing from the places that we're all at, but we're all touched by the same thing. We're all in some way touched by dementia. And so the goal was to bring this a step further out of not only remembering those that we've lost to dementia, but honoring everybody that is involved in it now. And, even if you were a healthcare worker, you could make a square and have you don't even have to have a picture on it. It's a very creative kind of a thing. just to honor the patients that you work with or whatever. So that's really kind of where it came from. We actually launched the whole thing. We began on this on November 7th of last year and gave it the name Faces of Dementia, and that's how it all got started.
Wow. It really is a neat thing. In fact, I just submitted a patch to honor my mom, and I'm amazed at how many patches in this quilt you have. Do you know about how many you have?
We have over 150. Over 150
wow.
so far, and it's. As far as, and I know Rick is always feeling the same way, and that's a great number, but you look at the membership in MP, there's over 6,000, and then, of course, you look at this whole big picture. We're over 5 million patients, and then you add in the caregivers and everyone else affected. So we've started. We've just taken one step on this, towards it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really it's such an important piece, and it also reading through the quilt that's there. I mean, it just every single one touches you, and everyone has different comments, and it's so important. Rick, what are your thoughts about this? Where would you like to see it go?
Oh, I just love it, Lori. It was a great idea from the beginning. I wasn't involved every day or all the time on it because of my memory impairment, but Leanne kept me up to date on it, and I couldn't thank Michelle and, just everybody involved with the administrators that was involved in putting this thing together. It was a lot of hours that they worked on it, and I think Leanne might have mentioned this, but we actually just launched this about maybe a week or two ago, so it hasn't been live that long, and we've got over, we've got 100 and some spots on it now. I look for it to grow expeditiously, if you will, quickly. I really do. We're adding, as much as we hate to see it, but we're adding anywhere from 50 to 150 members now every day on Memory People, and it's just exploding, and we love that people's coming there for support and awareness. But we also know that as the numbers progress, so does the losses, and it's very, very difficult to read. I mean, every day we lose, I don't know, sometimes 2, sometimes 4 or 5 family members that succumb to this horrible disease, and I try to comfort them the best way I can. I know having this disease, Harry Urban speaks of this a lot too, but having this disease, I don't want anybody mourning for me because I will be free of this disease and I'll be going home, and that's fine with me. But everybody does mourn because of the loss and things like that. But it really has to be a sense of relief when just like with your mother, Lori. I'm not saying that you're relieved she's gone. I would never even infer that. But what I'm trying to say is, what you've done for her and what you did for her for 30 plus years. You'll always have that in your heart. She'll always be there with you.
Yep.
And people need to remember that when someone passes with this instead of the horrible part of it, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. When Mom passed, one of the best things that happened, at the end, if there can be a best, was her service. And so many people didn't know my mom, but knew of her just because of the work that I do, and many people knew her, but then stayed away from her because of fear or whatever. But at the service, people came up and said, "I really know her. I really feel like I know her," because we chose to make it a celebration and to speak from the heart. And and I think that's what groups like Memory People and Forget Me Not, offers is really those heartfelt conversations, and to be able to have a living piece in this quilt, of a memory that's going to live on. I mean, that's an extraordinary gift. That can be.
That's what it's all about. It's a homage to the caregivers and also to the patients and the family members. And just like Leanne said, just everyone involved. Too many times this disease is whittled down to just the caregiver and the patient when there's so many more people involved. I mean, if your loved one does have to be placed, it's that place that you take them to, that you got all your, you hope that they take care of them the way you would, and you got all your trust in them, the doctors. I mean, there's just so many people involved with this disease other than just the patient and the caregiver. And Leanne and Michelle and everybody on the admins, they got together and they come up with this, and it was just a wonderful idea, and I couldn't thank them enough.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool. Leanne, can you talk to, and I don't think Michelle is on the line right now anymore, but maybe she'll call back in, or if there's others out there who have made a quilt patch, please feel free to call in at 714-364-4757. Again, that's 714-364-4757. And let us know your thoughts on why did you decide to do this, and what did it mean to you, and how is it going to affect you. I know for my family it was just an honor to be a part of that, and I shared that with others in my family, and they're like, oh, I want to add one too. I want to do one for Grandma. I want to, and it was very neat to be able to see that and to feel that. I think I've got Michelle back on the line, so let me pull her back in. Michelle, is this you, Michelle?
Yes, it is. Hi,
it
Lori.
is.
Hi, Leanne.
Hi there. Michelle.
Do you want to talk a little bit about, why you felt the need for this? And
well, like Leanne had said, we had come across something that we saw, and we thought we could take it a step further. A picture says 1,000 words, and with each square, it tells a story. It's very emotional, and as you can click on each one, and they open up bigger, and you can and look at each one separately, and it's awareness. It tells the story of the families, the caregivers. We had a patient actually write a poem. We had people that don't want to put their family name on, so we have symbols that they can put up. It's very broad, and it's awareness, and it's something that will always be there.
Well, and that's neat that you're taking into account individual people's needs and being able to respect them and what they're comfortable with in terms of going public. And so to be able to put a symbol in without a picture and still be part of the big picture is really a very sensitive, compassionate way to look at this. It's not black and white, and this is the way it has to be, but you're really meeting the needs of the group that's affected by this. So I give you kudos for that, because there are some that would say, no, this is the format, hold to it,
right,
or you can't belong to the club, and this disease it demands more than that. It demands more respect than that because everybody deals with this so differently. And one person's pain or joy doesn't have any more value over the next guy's. We're just kind of all in it together with that. So,
Lori, I just wanted to mention too, because you have 2 squares that you did for your show here to advertise it, and it's really neat. And like Michelle said, each square has been very moving. One of the squares is Pauline Baker, and she has her husband. He's in a care facility now, but she did a square for him. And then one is me and a picture of my mother, who passed from vascular dementia. And it is just exactly that. It is, each square means so much, and it tells so much of a story. And seeing it all there together, it's very moving. A very moving thing just to click through and see each part of it. The stories is what brings us all together. So it's really, the intent was it to be a symbol of all of us together in this. So.
Yeah, and to remove that feeling of isolation or being alone. I mean, that's so true. Everyone, it's like they get it. They know it. They've walked it. They've lived it. They've breathed it. I'm not alone. None of us are alone.
And it's very much a takeoff, if I could just say, because I thought of this earlier, but when Rick made Memory People, he made it an extremely unique group because it's patients and caregivers together. It's all of us together, and very few groups do that. They're usually separated. And his intent was, in Memory People, we walk this in the way we walk it in real life. You don't have patients staying in one room and caregivers staying in another room. We are living this together. And so when we get together on MP, we share together. And what we wanted to see was this quilt be a reflection of that, and that really did all grow from Rick's dream for Memory People of providing support for anyone touched in any way by dementia. Yeah.
Which is wonderful. Rick, anything you want to add there on that, or?
No, I'll tell you what, I just want to say publicly, and I've said this over and over, but between all the admins and everyone on Memory People, it's hard for me to express in words what this has done for me and Phyllis June. It started out, like you said, back in 2010, I guess it was November, and I knew there was a need for this because I needed it. I needed to talk about this disease, and I found out real quick that a lot of other people did too. Obviously, it's grown exponentially, and we're tickled to death about that, but it has given me something to do, something that I can do, be involved with Memory People. I've said 1,000 times, it's not about Rick Phelps. It's about everybody that's touched with this disease and how we can walk through it together at the beginning and middle and end stage. And even after loved ones die, Memory People, it's surprising, and we love it, that the caregiver moves in the role of an advocate and they stay on Memory People to help the other ones that's just possibly beginning this journey. I couldn't be more proud of the way this has turned out, but especially the help that I've gotten these last few years with this. I couldn't have done this without everyone that's been involved, and I thank everyone, both me and Phyllis June, thank everyone from the bottom of our heart.
Yeah, very important. We've got a caller online, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this person in. I've got a caller from a 971 number. You are live and on the air. If you want to state your name and make a comment or pose a question.
My name is Dina Dotson, and I just wanted to say hello to everyone, and I think this quilt is a fantastic idea.
Wonderful, Dina. I don't have your new number now. I've captured it.
Well, this is my house phone, so don't capture it.
but I still have it from your old from where you used to live before you moved. I just realized that now. So yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm so glad. Have you made a patch at all for the quilt project?
No, because I'm camera shy. So it's good that you're allowing symbols. Guys, it's very good.
Well, that's good. It is a very important project, and it really does show the variety of the people affected by this disease, and it shows not only those diagnosed, but some are with their loved ones, some are symbols, and so it really just shows the need out there that we all have to be connected, and good, really good work.
So that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you for calling in, Dina. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Leanne, when you made your quilt, what did your family, your patch for your quilt, what did your family think? What were their thoughts? Did they have comments?
They haven't really said a lot about it. My husband, Louis, was very touched by it. I made one for my mom, and I made one for his mother also. She passed from Alzheimer's. It was something I didn't really expect for myself. We've had Michelle, and then we've also had Pauline Baker. They both have put in countless hours to make these quilt squares, and And as they said, making them was it was a labor of love and a very emotional thing. And I had no idea what it was going to do to me to make one, because I'm over a year out from losing my mom, or just about a year now. But it was really neat. What I did get very emotional about it, and I was just kind of trying to figure out why. And I realized, because when we do things like that, when we do something tangible, we plant a tree in their memory, or we do whatever, it keeps them alive, in our heart, and then we can show everybody else, hey, they're not gone, they're not forgotten, and it keeps that going, and it really hit me. It was a wonderful thing. It was neat.
Yeah. How about you, Michelle? Did you make a patch for the quilt too? Michelle, are you there?
Yes, Lori, I did make a patch for my mom, and it was difficult to choose a picture. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to put a family picture in, a picture of Mom now, a picture of her in the past, and then I said, you know what, I wanted to show Mom when she was younger, because this stigma of an old person's disease needs to end. Mom was 58 when all this started, and she probably struggled 5 or 10 years before that. She's now 73. So I wanted to show Mom when she was younger, and that this disease affects people, in their prime of their life, not at the end of their life. Yeah. But I had done a lot of patches before that, and picking one for my own was a little more difficult.
Yeah, it was hard. I know when I picked one for Mom, because there's so many variables, but I decided to pick one when she was kind of in her late stages, and yet it was so joyful, and we were all just laughing. And I look at that picture, and my belly and my cheeks hurt right away, because we were just laughing so hard and having so much fun together, that I just wanted people to know that there is fun, and there is joy, and there's this deep, deep connection. And I don't know if people will pick that up from our picture or not.
Absolutely. I saw the happiness in the photo.
Yeah, and so that was kind of my goal, because it's like, okay, I can have one patch, and then I thought, well, if other family members submit stuff, that'll be kind of cool too, because their relationship is a little bit different, and they might pick different things, and again, it's kind of that whole ripple effect of pieces, and I should ask, is that even okay? I just assumed that it was.
It's not even. There's no limit to the number of patches someone wants to put on.
Okay. So good. We've got another caller here, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this person in. We've got somebody from a 951 number. You're live and on the air. If you'd state your name and comment or question.
Hi, this is Diane Hoover. And I joined Memory People early 1911, felt like 1911, 2011. And I and my brother, we walked this journey together with our little mama. And I have a patch on the quilt. It was taken when she was 90 years old. She went to heaven in December of 2013. And I have no idea how I would have survived this journey without Memory People. And to have her picture there it's just a wonderful feeling. I mean, we are so thankful that she's in heaven, because now she's our beautiful mama, and we're thankful for that.
Oh, that is so nice. And it's nice to have that support group and to be part, and now you're stitched together, in a whole nother way, sharing your experience. And it was very powerful, I know, for me too, to submit that piece, that patch. It kind of, I guess, patched a hole in some ways.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
And she's there. She's immortalized, and she looks gorgeous, and that's how she was.
Oh, so nice. Well, thank you for calling in, and I my sympathy goes out for your loss, but like you said, she's in a better place, and hovering over you.
She's
you
dancing
probably
with angels. They're all
Yep.
good.
Yep. Wonderful.
All right.
Well,
you have a great day.
You too.
Okay.
Rick, I'd like to ask you, what kinds of comments have you gotten from people? Do they post, on the Memory People page when they submit something? Do they talk about it there, or is it held to just because you have so many subgroups within?
That's what it is, Lori. We actually have a subgroup for the Dementia Quilt, and people go there and they post about the Dementia Quilt. Of course, we do talk about it in Memory People also, because there's a lot of, like I said, we get so many people joining every day that we like to post it every now and then so people are aware of it, But it's a good thing. There's just no downside to it. I know Dina said that she's not camera photogenic, which she's pulling somebody's leg because she's a beautiful woman and she should post her picture for everybody to see. But anyway, we do use symbols and things like that. And I'm struggling. I haven't done one yet because I'm struggling on what to do. I've got a few things in mind, but there's just so many things that I'm thankful for, and I want to draw attention to with a patch. So, like Michelle said, there's no limit. So I think I'm going to have around 6,000 or 8,000 patches myself.
Well, that's great though. That's great because I think and I'm just even thinking, if it's the symbol or you, with the statement of what Memory People stands for, why you started it, and just even those little pieces would be really cool.
And I get people to understand that I hear this all the time on Memory People and any show I do, how much Memory People's help someone, and it's the exact same thing for me. I mean, I don't want anybody to think any different than that because this thing is for everyone, and I'm no different. I'm a member there just like everybody else is. I may have started this thing up, but if it wouldn't be for everybody else that joined and sharing with everybody their walk through this journey, then I'd be sitting at my dining room table by myself. So it's very powerful, but it's a good powerful, I think, when you can memorialize someone forever or something. It doesn't have to be a person even, like Leanne said or someone said, if you're a healthcare worker and you want to memorialize somehow the place where you work at because all the accolades that they do for patients, that's fine. We can.
Yep.
And it's just a good thing all around.
Yep, definitely. I'm going to go ahead and pull Harry in because I'm sure he's got something to say. Harry, what are your thoughts on the Faces of Dementia Quilt?
Well, I'm trying to compose myself, boy, because I'm sitting here just falling off my chair laughing. I got this vision of Rick sitting there sewing up these squares for the quilt, and I can't get that out of my head. But more seriously, I think it's a wonderful idea. I mean, I am really impressed with it. I do have some questions though. Is this quote exclusively for Memory People? Now I live in Amish country, and quote making here is very common. And an idea went through my head that wouldn't it be wonderful if we could go to a nursing facility and do a quote of the patients living there. And have it on display in the thing, but I don't know if it's a project exclusively for Memory People, or if you wouldn't mind if anybody would take advantage of it.
Leanne can answer that.
Okay. Let me. You know what? I had her off because we were getting a little bit of static. So let me get you. You're live again. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Harry, it is. worldwide. It's for anybody, not just Memory People members. That was one of the big goals with it because what we always say is dementia knows no boundaries, and neither do we. And so it as far as age, as far as where you live, who you are, or if you're a member of any group or not, you're welcome to be a part of the quilt. And what this quilt is it's a virtual quilt. I love your idea of I actually did something like that in my daughter's class years ago. Each child made a square, and we put it together, and it was a classroom quilt, and it was extremely special. And I like your idea of an actual real-life quilt, hanging in that facility, because like Diane said, it stitches us all together. It's such a beautiful way to put it. Our quilt is just strictly online, virtual, and so what you do is you email us, and then we email you the directions, and you just pick and choose. It's like, and you know this, Harry, because you've done website design, but it's just like picking out a background, that type of thing. You tell us what you want, and Michelle or Pauline will put those things together, and then they'll drop them there on the page, and sometimes it's just a few minutes, sometimes it takes a few days or a few weeks to get caught up with everybody, but it's there instantaneous. That's what ours is, online quilt, and it is for absolutely anybody that would like to be involved in it.
Leanne, we have I think there's a web page or a address that maybe you want to give out, I think?
We do, yes, we do. We've just set up a new email account through Gmail. So if anybody is interested in being a part of the quilt, all you need to do is send an email. It's very easy, to facesofdementia@gmail.com. And that will come to us, and then we will get you the instructions, some information on how to do it. You can look through everything, and then you can just email us back and say, I would like this background. You'll have pictures to look at, and you can say, I want this blue background, and I want this picture on it to say this. And it's very easy and simple to do. So, it's facesofdementia@gmail.com.
Wonderful. And we do have the link in the chat box. Leanne did put that in there. So yes. People can see that there as well. So that's wonderful. I have seen, Harry, in some communities where they have done some quilts over time, and something similar to projects like that, but and they're very cool. They're very, very cool, and sometimes they'll show different activities and stuff, but I don't know if they're necessarily dementia specific in the communities that I've seen them in either. But I think that would be a great idea. Any way to spread awareness is always a good one. So, good question. Well, I am going to just ask Rick if you've got anything else that you want to cover. We only have about 7 minutes left here. I can't believe that time just flies by doing these shows, I tell you.
Once again, I'd just like to thank everybody who's involved with the birth of the Memory Quilt, and everybody that's on Memory People. And if they have any questions, you get on Memory People and just asked about the Dementia Quilt. It's very simple, I tell you. Just like she said, you go to Faces of Dementia. I don't know. Is that what she said?
Facesofdementia@gmail.com.
Facesofdementia@gmail.com. And it's a very simple process. Even I can do it. So if I can do it, I'm pretty sure anybody can do it. But we can always help anybody through it that is struggling somewhat. So thanks for giving this time, Lori. It was nice talking to you again. I think maybe me and you and Harry and Leanne's going to do a dementia chats or your
that
other
would be
shows here coming up not before long.
Yeah, that would be interesting to have you back on, so we can.
Yeah, I want to talk about differences. It's very important for me and Harry because at different stage that he's in or different stage or likes and dislikes. It really shows the difference in how this affects. Everybody's different with this disease, and both Harry and I like to talk about that when we get together, because there is such a big difference just between me and him alone.
Yep. It is important to see, and everybody's coming from different angles, and the conversations.
Yeah, I do want to add one thing, Lori. One of the biggest differences between me and Harry, I'm all the time busy and doing things and everything, and Harry's all the time sitting in his recliner watching soap operas. I try to get him to get away from them soap operas, but he's drawn to Days of Our Lives, and I'm trying to help him.
We might have to have a rebuttal, Harry. I'll let you go ahead and make a quick comment. Okay. It sounds like he's typing away there. So, okay. Well, thank you, Rick. Too funny. Michelle, do you have anything that you want to add regarding the quilt?
I just want to make it clear that it's not a memorial quilt. It's for everybody: caregivers, patients, advocates, family members, anybody who deals with dementia.
Okay.
And like and it's like Rick and Leanne said, it's a very easy process. And I hope everybody. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad that you made that clarification too. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you for all you're doing there. Leanne, how about you?
Well, I really want to say thank you for having the show, Lori, and helping us get the word out there. We're on Facebook, and it's the largest social networking site in the world, and still kind of, how it is. You feel like you're trying to get through molasses sometimes, getting the word out because you're wanting to help people and let them know that something's there. So this kind of thing is very much appreciated. So we just hope that the word will get out and more and more will start to be involved, and like you said, tell their family and friends, and anyone in your family is more than welcome to make a patch, for your mom and a friend or whoever, It's so thank you very much.
Wonderful. So again, I thank you guys for all the great work you're doing. It's so important. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. Again, if you're interested in learning more about the Faces of Dementia quilt, you can go to Memory People, or you can go, look at the page here. There's actually a link that will bring you right to the website, and you can check out the quilt. It's pretty cool. So you can see that, or where you can send an email to them to get more information as well. And then don't forget about Dr. Jytte Lokvig's book, the Alzheimer's Creativity Project. And again, her links are right on the page as well. I want to thank everybody once again for listening, and please like our page if you haven't already, and share it with others, and share this episode. This is an important piece. I think both of them work hand in hand in terms of engagement and relationships. Jytte's from the activity and engagement, and the quilt really in a greater worldwide connection of awareness and support and compassion. So until next Tuesday, we will catch up with you then. If you have any questions or comments, I always love to hear from you. Just go to alzheimerspeaks.com, click on the contact button, and shoot me an email. Talk to you soon. Bye now.
Hi everyone, this is Meredith from the Senior Fitness with Meredith podcast, where I discuss all things for seniors, from fitness, your health and wellness journeys, how to be all over strong and beyond. I also have my mini podcast called Motivation with Meredith. It's a great, quick motivational pick-me-up for your days. Join me, listen now, search for Senior Fitness with Meredith on your favorite podcast platform.